In this video tutorial, we're going to demonstrate how to configure Dream Report to connect to a generic Microsoft SQL Server database, select a table that contains data to report on, and how to create and generate reports with data from the database table. This demonstration, of course, applies to data in any kind of database and not just SQL Server. So let's talk about Dream Report's data connectivity options. Dream Report has built-in connectivity to multiple plant data sources, including real-time data sources such as HMIs and PLCs, high-performance or high-volume process historians, and the focus of this demonstration, connectivity to any open database platform such as Microsoft Access, SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, and many others. We utilize an ODBC or OLADB connection to the database and require no SQL knowledge or programming skills on the user's part to query the database and to develop the reports. In this final slide, we'll follow a typical workflow in creating a Dream Report project using data in a SQL Server database. First, we'll open the Dream Report Design Studio and create a new project. Then, we'll open the ODBC or OLADB driver configuration and add and configure an instance pointing to a table in our database. We can add additional instances to other tables or different databases as well. At this point, we're ready to create a new report. We can drop any kind of tabular, chart, or calculation object on the report and browse the fields in the table, which will be presented as tags for use in the object. After configuring the object, we're ready to start Dream Report's runtime engine and generate the report. Before we create our project, let's open SQL Server and take a look at the database we'll be working with. We have a database called Plant Data with a table called Storage Tanks. This table contains information about 5 different tanks, with each tank having a field for temperature, level, and mixer status. Now we'll launch Dream Report Studio and create a new project. We'll give our project a name and set some localization parameters. Now let's open the communication drivers, go to the Open Communication Protocols, select ODBC or OLADB, and in this case we'll choose ODBC historical values, give our instance a logical name, select an ODBC data source name which points to our database, enter and verify our credentials, and connect up to the database. So we're going to look for our table called Storage Tanks, and once we select it, all we need to do is tell Dream Report which field contains our date and time information. Add this instance to our list, and now we're ready to start building a report. So let's create a new report, give our report a name, the report format will be PDF, and let's make sure that the report opens as soon as it gets generated. We'll also set the report schedule to run at 12 o'clock midnight every day. We'll first add a step table. The step table will allow us to report on data over a time period and summarize the data into subperiods, in this case 1-hour steps. So let's set our report duration to be for the current 1 day, and we'll choose our step period here as 1 hour. Next, we'll give our table a name, set the caption for our first field, which will be our step time. So under the column type, we'll select step start time, change the time format to only show the time. We don't need to see the date and the time for now. Next column, we'll set its caption to be average level. Choose the column type as step data. Give it a name. And then go and browse to our external history server, which is the instance we just created, And you'll notice that all the fields are exposed as tag name. So we choose tank 1 level, choose the calculation type as average, and that's all we need to do to report the average level for tank 1. Let's change the caption for the temperature tag. We'll make it average temp. Again, browse to the communication driver to our database. Select tank 1 temp. Average is the calculation. For the final column, we're actually going to report the amount of time that the mixer was running for each hour since the start of today. We'll browse to the tank 1 mixer status tag, and of course that is just going to be a field, one of the fields in our database table. In this case, we're going to choose a performance analysis function and choose the running time calculation. For the result representation, we'll show the result as a duration in hours, minutes, and seconds. Finally, we make some adjustments to our fonts and headings, and then adjust the layout of the table. Done. The next object we're going to place on the screen is a single data object. And in this object, we're going to show the average temperature for today for tank number 1. We'll browse to that tag, and as you can see, we can actually type in a filter just to find our temperature tags. Not show the last value, but rather the average for the day. And so let's change our time period to be the current 1 day. And for the result representation, instead of showing it as a numeric value on the screen, we're going to show it as a graphical widget. So we choose that selection, we choose our gauge widget, set our display properties for the widget, show engineering units, number of decimal places, and then the last piece of configuration we'll do is break up the widget into subsectors and actually color code each section. So we'll do a section 0 to 50 degrees, 50 to 100, and 100 to 150. And say OK. Again, let's format the shape. And put a little title underneath the widget. What we're now going to do is copy this widget for tank number 2 and tank number 3, and simply replace the tag that each one of these is pointing to. In this case, it would be tank 2 temperature, and then tank 3 temperature for the last one. You'll notice I'm referencing the data points as tags, when in fact they really are fields in the SQL database, but as a user, everything is displayed as a tag to us. Let's align the layout and copy our titles for each of these widgets. Let's put a frame around them, and we are done with our average temperatures for each of these tanks. The last object we'll place on our report will be a line chart or a line trend. In this chart, we're going to display temperatures for tanks 1, 2, and 3, but instead of the averages, we'll actually show the raw data for the last 4 hours. Enter in text for our legend, choose our pen color, and add the line. And we'll repeat this for tank 2's temperature and tank 3's temperature. Browse down for our tank 2 temperature tag. Set its legend and add the tag to the chart. Finally, we'll browse for tank 3's temperature, add its legend and set its color. And the last thing we'll do on this screen is to set all 3 tags to have the same y-axis. We'll have them all share the y-axis from tag number 1, or tank 1's tag. Under our general chart appearance, we'll give the chart a name, and then check the option to display the legend. Finally, we'll set the y-axis range to have a manual range of 0 to 100 based on the data that we've been logging. At this point, we have our basic content formatted on our report, and what we're going to do next is include some headings, footers, logos, backgrounds, and just change the general appearance of the report. So we'll put a dynamic text object on the screen and choose the report name as our option for this one. Set its font. The next object we'll drop on the report is our report generation time. Again, these are all built-in objects we can use. Align these two. While we're working on the header, let's put a logo, company logo up top. So we'll browse for an image. Put our Dream Report logo in the top right. And then format that as our report or our page header. At the bottom of our report, we'll put our page number and turn that into our page footer. The last thing we'll do on the report now, put a report background, and we'll use a report image. Either we can select one of the predefined background images or use one of our own. And there we have our report formatted. At this point, we're going to run the project and save the report. Now we won't have to wait until midnight for the report to be automatically generated. We'll use the Runtime Management Console. Once the project is running, select the report and generate it. And there is our report for today, showing our hourly summaries and our step table since midnight, average levels, temperatures, and mix time for each hour, our average temperatures since midnight, and there we have our line chart for the last 4 hours of our tank 1, 2, and 3's temperatures. Now, if we want the output of this report to be in an Excel format, that's very easy to do. All we do is go down to a Report File Format option and choose Excel as the output target. And of course, we can do this in addition to the PDF document. We'll select the cells where we want each numeric value to appear. Here are the 3 average temperatures, and then we can place our step table below them. Now with the Excel output, we don't output graphical objects, but any tabular or numeric values. We can either have the results written to a new spreadsheet or written into an existing report or spreadsheet template. While we're here, let's also configure the Dream Report web portal. We have various options we can select. We'll leave the defaults and simply click Configure IIS and let Dream Report do the rest for us. The output of this will be a reporting website that the users can go to view the reports and generate new reports. So that's done. Let's reload the project and then generate our report. And when this next report generates, we should see an output both in PDF format as well as an Excel spreadsheet. There's our PDF document again, and Excel automatically gets launched with the results located exactly where we placed them in the formatting of the Excel spreadsheet. Now let's jump over to our web browser and take a look at the Dream Report web portal. The web portal launches, and we'll be able to view the reports in PDF and Excel formats. On the right-hand side, you'll see a listing of all the reports that have generated for this week. They're organized by this week, this month, etc. And then we'll also have the ability to generate these reports on the fly, what we call a new dynamic report. Simply select a report, choose the date period over which you want to run the report, and this is for the last 2 hours instead of the last 1 day, which is what I had set up the report originally. And there we have just the last 2 hours, summaries for the last couple of hours, and there we have our user-generated report from the website.